Hello, and welcome to the EQUUUS Film and Arts Fest podcast, the only program for horse lovers who have a fondness for horses in film, art, and literature. Each week, we will have interesting conversations with equestrian filmmakers, artists, and authors from around the world, discussing the nature and challenges as well as the triumphs of creating their work. Ready to talk horses and film and the arts? Here's your host, Julianne Neal, along with Lisa Dearson, festival founder and director.
Hi, welcome to the EQUUUS Film and Arts Fest podcast. I'm your host, Julianne Neal, and I'm here this morning with Lisa Dearson. Lisa, how are you doing today?
Hi, Julianne. I'm doing as well as can be expected. We're all healthy here.
Good.
We're getting ready to start our second week of Illinois quarantine stay-at-home order. They've closed the beach and the lakefront in Chicago because people were out not listening. So it's a strange time. Interesting, though, to see how who listens and who doesn't.
And it's interesting to see how the horse community responds. And I'm working with a group to put some things together for a class, an online equine class, and some people can get to their horses. Some people can't. If they're at a boarding barn, they can't even visit. Some of them, it's different hours. So how is it where you are?
Well, our barn is closed to boarders, both barns where the horses are at. And I was talking to Paulina, who they own equestrian events where 5 of the horses are at, and she was saying how now it's, because people are so freaked out that they can't be there with the horses, they're actually sending, not so many nice messages and that to the staff, and they're upset because they can't get to their horses. Well, staff is doing the best that they can, and it's kind of like you just want to say, people, chill out a little, and it's, let's get through this couple of weeks, and when you get back, you'll appreciate everything and everybody and the horses and all of that more, for this time away. And it's just, I couldn't believe it last night when she said she was so mentally exhausted because people yesterday were just kind of mean.
So, I can't imagine that you would be mean and cruel to the very people who are taking care of your horse during a time like that. But I think the best and the worst comes out in people while something like this is going on, I guess. So.
Right. And we're at our other barn where the other batch of our horses are at, which is Fox Landing. Laura is posting up pictures every day so that all the boarders can see their horses when they do turnout. And she's got a group page set up on Facebook for all the boarders so they can all talk and, see their horses when she puts information up. So, everybody's learning how to deal with this in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, to me, we're living through history.
Yeah.
I would much rather, God, I can't even say that, but living through, I think this is a way for us to live through history, that we are learning that we need to come together and be supportive of each other and our loved ones and our family and our neighbors, versus being in a world war where there's anger and hatred towards each other. We're in a global war, but we're all in this global war together. Mm-hmm. And we're having to lean on each other, and things we're seeing here, because now the hospitals, they're expecting in the next 2 days for Chicago area hospitals to start to get really inundated with the we're starting to hit our peak.
Mm-hmm.
So people are joining together, and because they've run out of masks at the hospitals, people are sewing masks. And today on the news, they were showing how even the company that makes the baseball uniforms is making masks and gowns for the hospitals, but they're using the baseball uniform material.
Oh,
that
cool.
was on CBS News this morning. So it was like everybody's kind of banding together and doing what they can do. And I think that's what'll come out of all of this is, how we've seen that people have been able to reach out and help each other and be supportive of each other.
Right.
Through this.
Well, I've seen a lot of that with the sewing mask. I think Heather Reichel was the first person I saw on Facebook. She had a pattern, and she and Becky were doing some, and I thought, what a great idea. And you're right, it's taken off, and I've seen all kinds of different materials being used. So yeah. But,
so it's a strange time, but we're living through history, and we all need to, kind of take mental notes, because hopefully we won't ever go through this again in our lifetime. It seems that since 9/11, we're going through so much, but hopefully this will shake itself out too. And the world has survived through the Black Plague, and it's been interesting too, doing research and looking back and following the history of some of these big pandemics, and that throughout the global history, and seeing how these different pandemics have completely decimated societies, and wow, so it made me want to go back and study more at school.
Right. Well, speaking of school, I mean, our school has totally changed. Like, I have a picture of myself waiting on a Zoom chat room for my students to join in, because everything now we're doing is online. And I was like, yeah, there's the equivalent of me standing at the door waiting on them to come in, because we're just having to totally revamp, education. And I guess in a sense, the good thing is we're seeing that it can be done. And so talk about differentiated learning. We're having to do all kinds of different things to keep everybody engaged and, just keep things moving along so that we all don't go so stir crazy. So I know you're online every day, and I've seen, you've posted hundreds of films on the film channel. So how's that going?
Well, we're loading up new films every day. It's really exciting. The interest in the film channel is going very well now, so that's good for everybody.
Yeah.
For all our filmmakers to be able to get their work out there. That's the goal, is to get it beyond just the big screen to the small screen to everybody's screen. So that's what we're working on now. And with so many big film festivals canceling, major film festivals, our platform, Benjamin, has been just kind of inundated with new festivals coming onto the Film Festival Flix platform. So this, it's growing, and that's really great.
Yeah, that I hadn't even thought about that there might actually be other festivals that would kind of jump in on that. So that's really good news.
I talked to a filmmaker yesterday who's working on a documentary called If Wishes Were Horses, which I can't wait till we get this documentary into the festival. It is about two women dentists, equine dentists, who travel all over in Oklahoma together. They go from farm to farm. But the super interesting thing about it is one of these women is a cancer survivor, and the other woman lost two of her children in the Oklahoma City bombing. And they both are unbelievably strong women, and they've come together, and this filmmaker is creating this documentary on them. And it's just beautiful. I think I sent you a link to it last night.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a beautiful trailer. People can see the trailer up on our Facebook page. It's just so well done. And that filmmaker runs a film festival in Oklahoma that is Native American and Hispanic, and kind of that kind of a themed film festival. And they've already had to, they're canceling for this year. So I think it's called Oklahoma America Film Festival, or I have to look that up and put a link, because his festival looks so interesting.
It does. That sounds really cool. Well, I think the fun thing now too is to go back through. We're still, for our podcast here, we're still posting some of the interviews from, last December in Kentucky. And so it's been just really neat to see different people coming together for the festivals, but also, continuing those relationships. So the interview that we're going to hear today is with Charles Perry and Kody Bundy.
Who's another Oklahoman.
Oh, yeah. So he's the filmmaker. We have Kody Bundy, who is an artist, and we have Karen Saylor, who is also a filmmaker, and I think she does a little bit of everything. So it was just neat to see them. They were waiting outside. I think they were the last interview of the day, that day that we brought them into the studio, and they'd been sitting out there chatting and just decided to come in together. So it's going to be neat to hear from them.
Well, and Kody's artwork is so interesting because she does ink etching, which is kind of a lost art. She's probably our first ink etching artist in 8 years.
Wow.
Of having the festival, and I love her work. So anybody that can get a chance, I'm sure you'll throw the link in the notes. But her work is just beautiful.
She has a new piece she's working on right now. It's like a palomino, I think, looking out of a barn door. And I've been watching her on Facebook every day as she adds a little bit more to it. And it's really just so detailed and beautiful. I can't believe what all she's able to do with that. So yeah.
Well, and I'm so excited about Charles' documentary because it's the Black Cowboy. That's just so beautiful. And the piece that he brought to the festival that everyone got to screen was called Pony Express. It was about relay racing with the horses, with the Black Cowboys, and it was just super exciting. We ran the Black Cowboys with the Spaghetti Cowboys, and then into the Cowboys, a documentary portrait film, and it was just a powerful collection of films. So
yeah. Bruce
Charles is really he's a gifted filmmaker, and Karen's documentary, her magical journey, beautifully done. It's just a visual celebration of course, the kind of horses.
Yes.
But I'm a little biased.
You're prejudiced on that. Yeah, biased on that.
It's just beautiful. And when people watch that film and watch her riding that horse everywhere, bitless, she rides in a bitless bridle. It's just something to see. So and talk about diversity, from Karen, her film is, she's from Spain, but the film is European, and then Charles is doing the Black Cowboys, and Kody is doing this incredible etching artwork.
Yeah, it was really just a funny combination. It really was.
Right.
And Charles couldn't help himself. Even during the interview, we're sitting around a table and everybody had a microphone, and out of the corner of my eye, I would catch that he was doing something. Well, he had his camera, and he would get up from where he was sitting and go film them as they're talking. He couldn't help himself. He just had to have the camera in his hand. So it was really
that's
fun.
How you filmmakers are.
Well, we had a really good time with it. So I look forward to everybody hearing it, and I think it'll be fun to kind of forget about everything else for a little bit and listen to that. So I guess with that, we'll go off and listen. One of the best things about this film festival is seeing people meet up and the collaborative efforts that start here, that then probably next year you'll come back and have some things in the works that you didn't even think about before now. But you guys already had something together before you came. So I'm going to get everybody we'll go around and let you introduce yourselves and tell a little short something about your submission here, why you're here now. Then we're going to go into a little bit about the background of your work. So Karen, let's start with you. Introduce yourself and tell us about your work.
Yeah, so I'm Karen Saylor. I'm German, but I come from Ibiza in Spain. And I submitted my first film. It's a short film, and I'm still surprised to be here because I can say until February I had nothing to do with film, and in February this year I I uploaded a little movie about my true magical story about me and my horse on Facebook, and this little movie became viral, and it encouraged me to tell a big story and to make a movie, which I filmed this August. Yeah, and now it's done, and I'm here, so it's quite fast. I see it now how fast it is, because other films take much longer.
Well, I spoke with someone earlier today, Daphne Yakin. I think she started her film in 2005 and just finished it last year or something like that. So yeah, well, it's a documentary, and so it was spanning many years. But you are a miracle worker to be here and to have it ready and submit it in time. So good for you. Congratulations.
Yeah, so therefore I have to pinch myself, so more or less every 10 minutes.
Well, so we're going to come back to you in a second and talk about your other artistic talents for sure. We're also here with Kody. Talk about introduce yourself first of all, and talk about why you're here, Kody.
My name is Kody Bundy, and I recently live in Utah, and I have been an artist for, well, people say all their lives, but to seriously become an artist, it was just recently, like the last 5-6 years. And we went to a Great Falls, Montana Western Art Week, and I saw my first Scratchboard artist. And it's a clay panel covered with ink, and then you use tools, sharp knives and needles to remove, and so you're drawing the highlights, and I was hooked. And I had joined a MAP program, which is Montana Entrepreneurs Program. Sherry Jarvis, a little shout out to her. She helped create that, and what it does is it's teaching artists the business end of art.
That's phenomenal.
And
wow.
That is actually where I met Charles Perry, and he was doing a documentary on that program. So it was a way to, they always encourage you to meet other artists, not just what you do, but other artists that are creative to collaborate with, and that just really builds into that art, promoting art.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's that feeling that we've got here, or that we're getting here.
Exactly.
And we'll go home, and I'll be following you on Facebook, Karen, and looking forward to what you're doing and sharing your work. And then my friends are like, how do you know someone all the way over in Spain? It's exciting.
It is.
And we're able to share different types of work, but also different topics, of course.
Yes.
And we may not all agree on the topics that are presented in the panels and that sort of thing, but at least we're learning to listen to each other. And it's all about the power of the horse, right?
Exactly.
And so we have a phenomenal filmmaker to my left who's busy filming even as we record a podcast. I'm so impressed with him. Charles, can you introduce yourself and tell us about your project?
My name is Charles Perry, and I'm a filmmaker, originally from Los Angeles, California. Last 5 years I've been working on a documentary called The Black Cowboy, and what's a cowboy without a horse? Which brought me here, and found more of a fondness and a desire to be around horses more, because I'm a pet guy. I mean, I love my dogs. I'm not a cat person, but I like animals, so by default I like cats. Mm-hmm. And but horses is one of those animals where, you around them and you feel intimidated and curious and want to touch it and want to not walk behind it, and
Yes.
This the power of a horse. You just feel the energy of it. And I had to touch all the muscles on the horse, even the ones without muscles have muscles, and they're amazing animals with the eyes and the beautiful eyelashes.
Aren't they?
The eyes look, I grew to really appreciate horses and want to be around them, actually learn how to ride one these days.
He's hooked now, isn't he?
Yeah, there you go.
That is awesome. So we'll talk about a little bit of the connection between Kody and Charles. You met at this art.
Yeah, they have what they call the gathering, and it was at the end of the season or at end of the program. At the Radisson Hotel, they would set up and everybody would bring their art to the motel to show for their first show. And like I said, Charles was filming this process, and he went around and would interview everyone. And on that particular night was the first time I ever sold a piece of art. And he was there, and he got that on film, the emotions that I had.
Well, but I met you before that.
Yeah.
Maybe the day before. My memories were, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know your story, and I walked to your booth and I just saw amazing art.
Yeah.
Wow. And that was, I was just looking around, and you told me, like, this is your first time, and you told me your story. I'm like, I think you're gonna sell something. you got something here. I think you got it, and I'm like, really? With a little crack in your voice, really?
Isn't that cute?
And I'm like, yeah, I think you are.
I think you got it.
And I will come by and just check on you, see how you're doing, and then at the very end, that's when you sold it. And
that is right.
When I had the camera on you.
That's right.
That's when.
Tear Factory.
Caught in the moment.
Yeah.
And I put it on there. I think the governor saw it. I'm like,
oh my
God. He cried. He was crying.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I still kind of remember your exact words when you said, this was touching.
Yeah.
It's touching. And so I do collaboration and artists helping out artists. And I love good people. You find good people, I want to keep them. And I want to keep them, hold on to them, be friends, and help each other out and keep it going.
Yes.
And that's what brings us here, Kody here, because it's a synergy. It's artists helping out artists, and good people helping out good people.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, right place, right time for you to have captured that moment. Right. And I'm sure the same thing with you, Karen. What was the process of your film? What is the story behind it? What brought you to make it?
Well, what brought me to make it is that 7 years ago, 7 years, I say 5 years, because if I talk about 7, it's too long. No, but 5 years ago, I fell in love, and but it lasted only 3 weeks. And as a farewell gift, that man gave me a little equestrian figure, and it was apparently very old. So it was really very, very small, but it was a horse and a man on horseback. So this little equestrian figure, it triggered me so much. I mean, I felt that it wants to tell me something, that it has to do something with me. And I started to search where it come from, when it was made. And so this path is over 5 years, guided me to a past life what I had. And I found out that this little rider on a horseback, it was me 400 years ago. And yes, and that's what I call my magical journey, because it's such an incredible journey of coincidences. We do not know coincidences. And I found a horse with a scar on his face, and this scar, the horse I had 400 years back, as I was a female warrior. And that white horse, it was mine, and that horse had the same scar on the face. So there was a lot of incredible moments, and when I got the big picture, I decided to make a movie, because for me it's not important if people believe that it's true, but this story is so beautiful. It's a love story over times.
Yes.
It's of course a love story between a woman and a man, but more than that, it's a love story between a horse and a woman, and it's about the history of women and the depression in the Middle Ages, and that I'm back now yes, I'm back to talk exactly about that and to relieve that depression what is still on women, because this memory of everything what happened to each woman in the Middle Ages still lives in our cell memory. And so I founded now a huge community of women to help them to get rid of that.
So
and
you're
through
still
my
helping.
movie, they start to talk about that and to also to remind their own past.
So you've given them that opportunity and a venue to start to share. And so I'm going to ask Charles and Karen about your process for filmmaking. So yours, Karen, did you have the story in your head and a visual and you knew exactly how you wanted it to be? Or is it with like the authors I was talking to where it's, I think they said pants or plan or something like seat of your pants? Are you flying by the seat of your pants, or are you planning every little thing? So did you have the film in your mind and you knew exactly how you wanted it to be, or did it flow?
No, I didn't know. I only knew in one specific moment I knew in which village in France I lived 400 years ago. And then I bought a van, a truck. I loaded my horse and I sold my business and I said, I go back. And I lived now the whole summer in that village in France. And the moment I arrived, I just sat there, meditated every day, and I said, okay, I don't have a clue what I want to film, but I want to give life the opportunity to write the story. And from that moment on, it happened, everything happened. I mean, people crossed my way. I found the most amazing locations. Within 4 weeks, I got a full, screenplay. I got the actors. I had hired a film team before. Don't ask me how I could do that, but I knew they would come in August. And when I arrived, 1st of July, or 1st of June in that village, I had not an idea what I want to film. So if you see that movie now and you see that it's really well done, you think, wow, they had somebody sitting there for years to write that and to find the locations and everything.
Sure.
But it was not that. I just trusted. And then everything fall into place within 4 weeks. And nobody can believe that, including myself.
That's like a miracle.
Yeah.
Wow.
But this is how filmmaking can also be. It was really effortless.
Yes. Well, we talked earlier with one of the other filmmakers, and she's a friend of mine, about this, like the idea of a fly on the wall, and you're kind of just there, you're not part of it. But then I heard them talking about the film with the minis, the miniatures, and the end of life.
Right.
And how the filmmaker was saying that in one moment the man lying in the bed looked into his camera, which normally you wouldn't do.
Right.
But the camera wasn't even there. He was looking into his eyes, and so he left that in the shot.
Yeah.
And I think that was an amazing, really special moment. So I'm going to ask Charles to talk about his process with that. I'm interrupting, I'm sorry. But with yours, do you consider yourself like a fly on the wall and you're not there when you're making a film? Yours is a documentary, but is that always how it is?
You know, my approach is different, you know, and I kind of work backwards, you know, and so I played sports when I was younger, decent basketball player, and come from a family of athletes and people who like are gritty, you know, they it seems like everybody sees their where they came from, you know, and I feel like I have to do the same, right? And so so what I think about is like really what I want and how I'm going to get it. You know, and those are two things I focus on. What I want, I want to be a filmmaker. I want to make movies. That's what I want. How I'm going to get it, sometimes I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I just know that I want to, be a successful filmmaker. So what are my competitive advantage, right? And so I look for stories that are haven't been told. And so I just know I want to make a documentary on first start off as a black cowboy, black rodeos, ask myself, where did these people come from? Because it was like 12,000 in one spot, and then they all didn't wake up one day and decide to be cowboys. And, and then it's keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and I'm shooting, and I really don't know why I'm shooting because I didn't do the pre-planning for it because I just don't have the time.
Right.
Like I'm an older, filmmaker, trying to get established, so I only have like 2 years to like do all the research, so I just throw myself in the fire and I figure it out. And so, to answer your question, which was...
Or do you consider yourself like you're the fly on the wall, you're trying to stay out of it? Or you seem today like you're right in it. I mean, here we're doing the podcast and you're like filming everybody, and I think that's exciting.
And I really don't know what I'm going to get out of this right now, but I know it's going to be something good.
This episode of the EQUUS Film and Arts Fest podcast is sponsored in part by Nature's View, the Marley Project, and JA Media Productions. To learn more about what we do, visit naturesview.us. You're like with your camera everywhere all the time.
Everywhere. It was like that with my basketball. I always had it around. I used to wear my basketball shorts underneath my suit pants, so I'm like, hey, you gonna play a game? And take my pants off, have my shorts on, and let's go play our one-on-one game and let you know I'm a better basketball player than you. I was always ready. Same thing with snowboarding. I picked up snowboarding because that's the only sport I had, that rush that you get from going fast and being on control at the same time. And I took that really far that, I'm going to work at a ski resort because that's where I'm going to be near it. And now, same difference is I got a pattern going on.
Yep.
I always have my camera with me.
Yes.
And maybe I'm lucky enough to have 3 passions in one life.
Yeah.
And what's your question?
You've answered it. You really have answered it. But my next question though is, you're filming all the time. It sounds like. Yeah. How do you keep track of your footage? Do you go back and watch everything now?
I took it away. I have a special folder for Kody Bundy. You have a special folder in my hard drive.
I thought you were going to say in my heart. I was going to say, because y'all are obviously friends.
Yeah,
That's sweet.
We're friends for life. And then my new friend for life, I feel like. I have these gut feelings,
Yeah.
I have a new folder for you coming up, and I tuck them away, and then some nights, and I have anything going on, or I'm thinking about somebody, and I just
pull it out.
Yeah, I can pull it out because it occupies my mind too.
Yeah.
My friends are always been like, hey, come out to a bar. I'm like, I'm good. I stay up all night and editing people's stories, and I feel like I give it to them. I feel like it's a gift.
Yes. Yeah. That's special.
And they will forget about it. They will totally forget about it, and then as soon as they forget about it, I will make something, and there you go.
Wow. That is a gift. Really is. So Karen, how did you find, I'm thinking back to your 4-week period of time and you're putting all this together. How did you find the people that fit your image on such short notice in a different country? I mean, did you bring in your friends? Did you call people and you had connections? What in the world had let that happen?
Magic.
She's not going to tell me, is she?
Well, I knew one lady. She was for me the key person. Also, she gave me, let's say, the idea that this could be the right village. And yes, and then she's also partner of a big part of the movie. Then the rest, because I didn't know which story wants to reveal, which story wants to be told. But then through all the researches and also the meditations, I call it the spiritual download of a story. Then I found the right people.
It just happened. Okay.
And also in the house, I rented an apartment in a house, and upstairs lived a young family with a little girl, and they turned out to be musicians. She was a cello player, and he's composing music. And the little daughter, 4 years old, she was playing all day long with my horse, because my horse lived in the garden, free. And so this little girl played the little me when I was 400 years ago. and the parents, they made the film music.
Wow. Now, have they seen the film? Have you so have you had a screening there in the village?
No, not in the village, because we had a week ago, exactly a week ago, it was the premiere in Germany.
Oh, wow.
And there I invited each and everyone to participate in the film.
Now, was your horse there?
No.
Okay, I wondered if you said people, humans. Yes.
No, he was not there. Physically not.
Yeah.
Right,
Spiritually, yes.
but I was going to say the reason behind the journey for sure. And so, Kody, the horses are the reason behind a lot of your work as well.
Oh,
we
yeah.
spoke a lot yesterday
Yeah, we
about
did.
that. The thing that I was really, really struck by, I think you know, there were two stallions. One of your ink etchings really caught my eye. I mean, it's literally from across the room.
Wow.
Please explain the process of creating that piece.
Okay. That particular piece, it's actually a Scratchboard board, and in a clay board called Scratchboard, they are a sheet of clay, and then they are airbrushed with black ink. And I use knives to remove the ink, and then I paint it back with a brush, different colors of ink. And that particular one is of two stallions that were out of the Teton National Park in Wyoming, and they're nose to nose. And it happens often, and it's a magical moment when that does out in the wild, where you have two stallions that meet
that way.
But you know, they're the younger, the bachelor stallions. They don't have any prestige or anything yet.
They hadn't proved themselves quite yet.
They don't have a herd.
Yeah.
But that's basically the process behind it.
Well, I mean, just the overall beauty of the piece, of course, struck me. But then, too, like we talked about the difference in the detail and the mane. I mean, there's a flyaway one hair that just you just see it, and then the color behind all of that. But then the airbrush at the bottom is just this smooth, lovely thing that happens.
Thank you. It did turn out really well, and I really like.
I'll
that
remember
piece.
that one for a long time. And the horses were behind both of those, so obviously for you, the horses were behind the Black Cowboys. But how close were you before you got into this filming? How close were you to horses in the past? Had you ever been around them before you started this documentary?
Yeah.
Charles, I'm sorry.
No, I've been around them. I lived in LA boy, went to college in Wyoming, then transferred over to Montana, so I can be in the outdoors. People are like, why Wyoming? Why Montana? It's because that's where the outdoors is at. That's where I could go horseback riding and snowboarding and live in the snow and go fishing and do all the things I wanted to do as a kid, but I never had the opportunity. And the opportunity I had was go to school around the corner from my house on scholarship, that nothing would have changed. Or go into the unknown and go live that life when I had the chance. And I knew this from an early age, that's what I wanted to do. I used to ride my bike over 20 miles as a kid, and go to the beach by myself or whatever. Nobody wanted to take me, or I would just hop on a train and get off and didn't know where the ending spot was when I was a kid. And
you were brave.
And then go back home, and my mom was like, "What you do all day?" I'm like, "Nothing." And that's always been me. And even with this filmmaking thing, I'm on a journey right now where I started this last year in January, gave up my apartment, packed up a car, and I'm not going back home until I finish this documentary. And I've been on the road since last January, and living out of my car, Airbnbs, apartment garages, camping. It's been a journey.
Well, you told me yesterday that you feel like that's a mission for you, and that there are stories that need to be told. And it looks to me like you have a knack for telling them, and that you're willing to get into the nitty gritty to do that. I think Karen said it too. I think in a way where,
you know, when you make a decision, you know, you burn the boats, just throw them the island, and then you have nowhere else to go. You know, and I knew this was my passion, and I didn't want any kind of excuse for me to stop. You know, for me to stop doing it. So if I'm into it, like I have nowhere else to go, really, honestly. I mean, there's no behind, you know, it's forward. Right. You know, and as soon as you stop, it's over. And so even when you're tired, you got to keep moving. I don't care if it's an inch. Sure. And so I just keep marching forward, you know, so I can finish this film, because really it's not about filming, it's about completing it. Yes. That's when it's truly done. Yeah. You know, and until that happens, then you got to keep on moving.
Well, good. I mean, really, we were talking about, I saw a postcard for African American jockeys here, and Jara and I were talking about that, and just stories that aren't traditionally told that are so important to tell, and stories about women, and you know, the history behind yours, Karen. I mean, it's just, I'm amazed every year at the different stories that are coming. It's not always just about, you know, we have a lot of things about veterans and horses, and a lot of things about slaughter or rescue or whatever. And so to have some of the stories that are diverse and different and new, and it's been amazing to me to see all of that happen.
Yeah, and you see a connection. There's connections there where, you know, in your movie, Karen's movie, she tells a story about a woman dressed up as a man to go fight the war. That was so common. That happened in the Civil War. You know, that's probably happened in almost every single war that a woman can get away with. That, you know, Civil War, I found, you know, women dressed up as men to fight in the Civil War. And so when I heard that, you know, I heard that story, and you hear it one time, that's one thing. Right. You hear it twice, that's okay. When you hear it a third time, it's like, okay, that happened. You know, that's like, it gets into you. You know, and the more time you hear these stories of people that, you know, women and minorities especially, that of valor, of bravery, of artistic, whatever that is, of all these great accomplishments, the more time you hear it, the more time it shouldn't be normal anymore. It shouldn't be surprising.
Exactly.
You know, and so now I wasn't surprised to hear it now, because I heard it, I'm like, oh my God, I knew that.
And that's what it needs to be. It needs to be part of the common everyday conversation.
And that's the power of being artists and filmmakers, is that we have a chance to have a major impact into society and kind of change the narrative as women being weak, or minorities not being as bright, or as whatever else stereotypes are there out there.
And the programs that we're doing in my school district, I'm in Fairfield County, and I want my kids to learn to be filmmakers. I want them to come learn from you. I want them to learn how to tell stories and to feel like it's theirs. They gotta have the ownership.
Just give me tingles by saying that, because I like working with the kids, and
Well, we can work that out, because I mean, you know, we have the Spotlight Rescue series is the one that we do. It's PSAs, and they're learning to become filmmakers. They're learning to tell stories. I don't care if they become a filmmaker. I don't care if they become an actor or a musician. Be what you want to be, but tell your story. Tell your family's story. You know, it just all needs to be out there.
I never knew how the importance of a storyteller, really. I mean, I didn't know how, you know, how impactful a storyteller is. I didn't see that as an occupation. I just saw it as a hobby. I don't even know. But storytellers are some of the most important people, you know, on this planet.
Absolutely. Right. And if you think about it in history, when we're talking about, like, Karen, with your film, the storytellers then were passing everything down orally. Right. You know, we're here all now with all this technology and the ability to just see it on my phone in 5 minutes when you send it to me. But back then, it was an oral history. So if we don't learn how to teach the kids to continue to tell stories, I just don't want to think about us losing that with this next generation coming in. So however they're going to tell them, as long as they're telling them. Yeah. So Karen, for you, when you go back home, what's next? Is there a sequel? Is there, what are you going to do?
Well, what is next? honestly, when I started to think about that movie, that I want to tell a story, I have to say it differently. I wanted to tell a story. That was my motivation. And there are different ways. I mean, there's a way that you can make a film, or you can write a book.
Mm-hmm.
And my main motivation was not to make a movie. It was to write a book. And now comes the marketer in me.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because I know that if I want to have the best publisher in the world for this novel, which is really a great story, much bigger than the film, then I need to show something. That was my main motivation first. I mean, of course, then by making the film, I discovered that I'm a passionate filmmaker.
Wow.
But,
it's your new career.
Yeah, but before it was, okay, I make a movie, I attract a huge publisher, and so I can send him the movie, and then he knows what I want, the book I want to make. But that was that way around.
That was your plan.
Now I will do it the other way around. I have now a great movie, and I want to write the novel. I will do it next year, and maybe then could be even the story could be told also on a bigger scale.
Well, now
in
with all the authors here, have you had luck talking to anybody about how to find that publisher now?
No.
So yeah, tonight. That's your mission tonight.
That's the first time that I give the call out.
Well, I know somebody. You need to talk to Carly Cade or MJ Evans. I mean, that now you're a part of the EQUUS family, and you can follow them. They can follow you, and there's a lot out there. There are a lot of people out there that are willing to help. And Carly Cade has a podcast herself, Carly Cade Creative, and she has authors on every week. And I have to give a shout out to Ray Rankin, who's here this weekend also, and she's an author. And I listened to the podcast they did together a couple of weeks ago, and Ray went all into self-publishing and how to get your ISBN numbers and how to get on Amazon and how to do it yourself. So you may find you don't even need to, find that publisher. Do it yourself.
Could be, but somehow I think I'm a bit. I have this wish that I want to make it with a publisher.
Do the big time. I see.
But maybe it's wrong. But it's behind that. Huh?
Yeah.
We never know the way.
True.
I go now.
Absolutely.
I'm absolutely open, and the first thing is to write it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. And what comes next? I think I will. If I continue living. With consciousness, spirit, and with all the passion I have, I will. I mean, the world is full of stories.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
I don't see an end until I die, and even then, it's not an end.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
I know now. Huh?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Kody, what's next for you?
Well, gonna get back in the studio and start creating some new works and start going to more shows and try to get more stuff into galleries, and that's pretty much the drill.
That sounds wonderful. And I've already told you we want you to come to Camden in April and show some stuff. Yeah. Now, can you imagine yourself working with Charles again on something?
Yeah, of course.
I can tell the two of you will probably be doing something together. Yeah. Anyway, Charles, what's next for you? Where you go when you leave here tomorrow, today, whenever? Where are you going?
The EQUUS Film Festival has been a blessing in so many different ways. I haven't, filmed it brings people together, of course, but and I was kind of upset that it didn't happen in New York. I was like, oh man, I want to go to New York, but through coincidence, Kentucky or Lexington is about an hour and a half south of Cincinnati, where I have family. Family that I haven't seen in a long time. And I've never been in the same room at the same time.
Really?
Yeah, at the same time since maybe babies.
Wow.
I'm the oldest brother, but we've never been in the same room like babies. Seem like individuals, but not all together. And so during this festival, they drove down and we all got together and we saw each other. And I saw my little niece for the first time, and so this happened for the EQUUS Film Festival, which I can't stop smiling about.
That is so special.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, it makes me happy that happened here. So
Yeah.
I'm really appreciative.
Did they see your film?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so great.
I know.
And to have that showed here, you know, it's just a start of it. And if Lisa and Diane,
Diana,
are you listening?
Yep.
I want to be one of your filmmakers for the channel and keep bringing in quality content from you know, and keep that different perspective going on. You know?
Absolutely.
And so but I want to get paid. So.
Well, and I'll tell you, I'll give you all the specs and everything. You can get it right in. We'll drop it on the channel right away. Yeah. Definitely.
So
Well, very cool.
no. So the next thing that to be quick, the next thing I'm going to work on is you know, finishing the film, and after that, like finding other stories and working with other artists and other filmmakers, like, you know, Karen.
Yes.
And
That'd be a neat collaboration.
Yeah, we will do
Go to Spain.
I'm going on a beach, baby.
He's coming. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, and that happened because of the EQUUS Film Festival.
That's right.
You know, bringing people together and like-minded people together, and it chose a really, really good artist to come here because, you know, I liked everybody here.
Yeah. It's a special crowd for sure.
It is.
So, Karen, how could people find you if they wanted to reach out to you? They've got a story and they want you to tell it. How would they find you?
Well, I have a website. It's karenseiler.com.
Okay.
And, a very active social media page. I mean, Facebook or Instagram. And then, of course, the classical email, which you can find on my website. I think I had about 20 live streams. So
Great.
The whole German, Austrian, Switzerland community is totally informed about what happened here.
That is so
Wow.
Someday we'll just come to wherever you are. Yes. So, Kody, how can people find you? Where do they look you up?
Yeah, I have a website, and it's kodybundy.com, and I'm on Facebook and Instagram. So,
Awesome.
yeah, under all the same name, Kody Bundy.
And they definitely need to see your artwork. Just I can't describe it. They just need to see it. And so, Charles, I don't know how we're gonna. Well, we can look you up. You have a website?
Yeah, I have a website. Well, the movie has a website. It's
Okay.
theblackcowboy.com. Facebook has a youth social media, the Black Cowboy again, and then actually, if you look up like Black Cowboy, Google it. I mean, my brother comes up above Denzel Washington. Actually, it was weird. You know, like so,
Wow.
I know.
That's pretty cool.
Impactful, right? No. Google
We'll
Charles
Google you.
Wesley Perry, and some of my work will come up, and so that's
Great.
kind of cool to get some of that recognition where.
Absolutely.
Google myself.
Yeah, that's really great. Well, I can envision next year we're sitting right here, same place, same time, and we've all got new projects to share, and I'm looking forward to that. So we're on our way out now. We'll be heading over to the awards ceremony in just a few minutes, and I can't wait. I'm pulling for all of you. I can't wait to see what happens, and I hope you all have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you, EQUUS.
Yeah.
See you all next year.
Thank you for having us here.
Please be sure to tune in next week when Julianne and I have another interesting conversation with one of our EQUUS Film and Arts Fest filmmakers, artists, or authors.